So I'm going to just record. I'm going to record another section now. I'm as like the eagle. I fly in vision. I see the far-off worlds. I see in patterns and structure. I see from above. I see a field of unity endlessly repeating itself in rhythms and cadences. And it speaks in a language tree to me through scripts and writings. And then I record and I hear it speak itself. For I am in the mystery. So the encodement, which is very much the Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without. So we're reversing the dominant past frequency to externalize, to discovering the inner mystery. And to cultivate the inner mystery, or inner art mystery, I am, is to spend time. It's the first precedent to build the seed of your inquiry. So in any school that I presuppose, because we're going to be giving an educational model, the first thing you would do in a day is enter ceremony with the sacred self. This is the first precedent, to know thy God or goddess as a creator substance. Receptive and creative are two parts of the same wheel. We've lost the in-breath to the source. So we're discovering it again, because it animates all the world. The source externalizes out and just gives freely until your life force is gone. But if you learn to cultivate it, you can reverse the field. And this is the path of immortality. This is what the great ones learned. And therefore they ascended the body. They built a body of light. They cultivated. All the great chi masters. And we can liken this in this story to the dragon's force. The cultivation. And I have 9 dragons. We have the 7 colors representing the 7 flames. And I led you through a chakra meditation. The golden ring is our container, because it's the Grail chalice. How to contain within what we extend without from this field. Meditation, reflection, and creation. In the West, it's the creation field. It's expressing it and then pulling back into it. It's the great art. And we're going to learn it if you choose. I'm going to teach you gradually as I lay what I'm already doing into a compendium of teachings, which is what these transmissions are about. So I'm building it on all levels. And so how do I build it into the outside? By summoning a group of souls who would ardently research with me, each from their own unique position. They're already doing it. One by one, I'm calling in a particular group soul, but a particularly adept at cultivating this. It's actually more of a blueprint code at this point. It's a particular group soul called in Avalon to this mystery center. And many others are hearing that call all around the world, and they're saying, well, I have to just go to Avalon. So we're setting up a ministry. We don't really like the old religious terminologies, but I'm using it to bridge. We're talking about a new church, a church of freedom, not a church of dogma, not a church of the old you should, or based on guilt, but on freedom from tyranny and from an old way, which is an old voice. And we can when we see these things, we can offer it up in the violet all-consuming fire to cleanse. It's not to make an enemy of it, to observe it from the field of unity. It's just an old story, and it needs to be purified, and it's still in us, a story of iniquity. And it's okay, it's the way it's supposed to be, but we can let go of fear and doubt. And we must use techniques in order to do this, because we have to educate how to build the field in a new way. So I have a golden ring, you're standing inside the ring, you're sovereign. And what's inside your ring is your sovereign thing. So when you come across old negative conditioning in the mind and in fear, you can offer it up and put it outside the ring. I'm just saying, I'm putting this outside the ring, and I'm offering it up. And so I set the guides on the outside of the ring holding the field, the master guides. I say, I'm offering it up. And they hear, because there has to be an offering and a sacrifice. If you don't make a sacrifice at the gate, you can't enter the mystery. The sacrifice is the old way. It doesn't have to be some heavy thing. It's creating a sacred container. And you may be asked to purify some old habits. In this ministry, we don't allow smoking or drinking. I want to create a container out of addiction so that a new voice can be cultivated. And then the third thing is, it's just so simple. I don't encourage any negative language loop. We simply just speak truth. And everybody's welcome to speak truth. So it's simple, but it must be adhered to, and all of it is cultivated in the inner silence, so that's one's up to you. So we have a vision, and I'm drawing in the knights of the brotherhood of the table, of the Grail quest. And some of these are cyberspace navigators, I call them. Now, it doesn't mean women can't do this, but I'm particularly adept to the male way of, it's kind of a warriorship in making, how to navigate the field. So we'll set it up as a quest, how to navigate the field. And what I'm giving you is I'm giving you a light language and a sound language and a spoken language. And that's what all this transmission is about. And as you discover it, I'm asking those to come forward to assist. Because I want to create a station. It's a large enterprise, a station, a radio station for the word. The word of Merlyn to begin. And from that ministry of the spoken word, and then entering dialogue with others, we're going to create a living story. And then we're going to start filming it. Because you know there's going to be a film. But what people want is a living thesis. So we're going to create each act of our play, so to speak. And we're going to publish it as a sounding wave, so that Merlyn can be released from the grave of his stone. And we can all go home. And I'm simply the instrument, and I'm one of many. But I am a voice, and I'm a voice of change, and I'm a voice of rearrange. And change indeed there will be, from old world into new. And that is a surety. And we can have some tea. And we can choose to build a mythic stage set This is what I woke up this morning. Well, how would you create a mythic stage set, Merlyn? Well, I'm going to encourage, I've been encouraging all along for 3 months. I call it the sword in the stone, so we've had 3 months of that now. And now I'm going to move into the Lady of the Lake, how the sacred feminine can carry the sword. And we know it's all the legacy of Merlyn, and we know it's all encoded in 3 rings, Grail, sword, and stone, if you've been listening. And the Grail, the sword, and the stone, and I'll read my notes first thing before I start speaking, because I always kind of go backwards. A stage set. It's to do with the myth of the Fisher King, and I call it the Fisher King and Queen now. The king and queen are wounded, suffer the wound, all encoded in the genetic memory of the tree. The wound is the fall, the memory, the patterning, the fall from grace. It's a place in the unseen, recorded in a higher dimensional field, encoded in the DNA. It's a real deep place. But it's given through grace that we can see it and feel it. And call in the assistance, because this is where the masters work. All of them work from the great I am. You're just calling in, I am calling in, boom, there it goes. That's the lock and the key. As soon as you say the statement, I am calling in, it locks into a universal matrix of freedom. Not an old matrix, a new matrix of freedom. Encouraged through direct words and transmission, through language, which is the key. So I'm calling in the assistance of the Divine Masters, it locks in. I'm calling in to live inside the Sacred Heart. It creates itself. So you're re-educating the cellular memory from the fall. How? Preposterous, the intellectual would say. How? By grace. By the power of the unseen hands that guides the human race. It belongs to Avalon of the Heart because this is where all this art is being created. And it involves an Avalon mystery play because we're going to amp it up, as I often say. And the mystery is we'll return to the garden. And we're going to build a stage set, a mobile stage set based on the dragon lineage of the 9 dragons. I see it. And as I say, like we in the world, you're going to have to encourage a field of unity for other people to build in under the Merlyn. Now, I don't like rules and regulations, and I'm sure you don't, but there must be certain regulations within the container. And the one that I've been given is no negative, only positive. We are permitted to only tell one story for the future glory. If we're intent on that, we can't go wrong. And a lot of that would be done in silence and in ceremony. We will cultivate an inner container, not a social container. We may talk at the end of the day, but firstly we will cultivate an inner container. That's what I've been cultivating alone. So the materials, the Grail, the sword, and the stone, as we know, the 3 rings. It's a creation field. And these endless books, which I'm cultivating by speaking. And it'll form a vision of a school eventually, an IAM Art Magic school. So the sound cloud is the diary, the Emerald Grail is the story. It involves the power of the written, unspoken word. The written word is encoded by your journal, so get one, and don't put lines in it. That design. Learn to design in freehand by pencil. even if you don't believe you're an artist. Perhaps paint, there's many of you out there. Perhaps design stage sets, because we're going to create a ceremonial container. And we're going to have the musicians there because that inspires us, the bards. And we're going to compose the songs because there must be songs. And obviously there's going to be costumes. And ultimately it's going to become a pageant, a Grail pageant. And all this preliminary material is to assemble a group. I call it the Staff of 7 and the Council of 12. So I'm in the first keynote. I'm simply the Staff of 7. And I really need a cyberspace station, a radio station. That's the first thing that is needed. I need it handheld. And I can give my hourglass of time testimony every day to inspire you as a living legacy. So bear with, my friend. All of this is going on simultaneously, of course only in the moment, because all of creation happens only in one moment at a time. How are you going to do all that? Well, with a cast of players and soothsayers, musicians and artists who would give their time to pray and align in a sacred way. The knights of the Grail quest to begin again, to serve the Grail within, the divine feminine for the night of our order, and for the sisters to hold the space for the sons and daughters of the race. That's their container. That's what they do. They are the earth and her rebirth. One by one, and the power of the spoken word to set it free. The power of the witness, you and me, with no negative story. All your choice, of course. Listen, for I am Merlyn of the sea. I live in serendipity. I am free inside the sea, it's flowing, moving, or upon a wave. I have returned from the grave. I cannot behave. I am certainly no slave to an old order of tyranny. I delight in the light of sight, for I am that sight in the beginning. I am beyond night, beyond immortality. I call the dragons, the creative forces from the sun, into the field of unity where all things are begun. The secret of the 7 fields of creation, the 7 rays in the beginning, the 7 flames of the rays of the masters, the rainbow covenant formed to resolve one egg of old duality, yin and yang, contained in the field, compressed at its very best, a seed of a sacred deed. Will you concede and surrender the dross, the cost? One simple moment of forgiveness, offering it to the flame. An offering made, a great gain gained. Your choice. Move forward, let go. Surrender to a deeper resonance. Let go of the head that's already dead, and bring in the heart of knowledge. Unify the field and then use the mind, if inclined, to focus the energy from the sea of unity. Direct the force through the sword and the will. The sword is in the stone, reveal it, and travel home. And now the lady of the lake spoke to me inside and said, reveal the mystery contained, the sword from the lake spoke, given to the knights of the Grail, that they prevail and serve the one inside, for divine feminine. It's been out of balance, the male lingam. We've been worshipping the crucifixion rather than the resurrection. The resurrection is upon us, the quickening, the deed done inside the sun, cultivating it freely and letting go of addictive patterning, especially in negative language loops, especially concerning an old enemy. Don't give it your time. It's sour wine. There is no enemy within. There is no sin. There is no doubt. There is no fear from the one inside here. All is contained in the mystery of one golden ring. Claim it through the I am that I am. It's entirely up to you. I just plant the seeds of the catalytic action, that the truth be known, that we all can go home, never alone. Each day I pray, each day I say, away with old standards and old ways. I do not have time for old time. For goodness sake, I will not be alone to go home. I will be free inside the tree. And I'll offer all these things to you, so you can join me in the garden under the tree, under the branches where 7 fruits have bloomed in eternity, under the tree of unity. In the beginning, the tree, the serpent spoke, half a story of duality. Don't eat of the fruit, bitter and sweet. You ate of the fruit. It is your destiny to taste both bitter and sweet. Bitter, the pain, the blood shed, the leaving of the garden. And now the return is upon us, those who would choose to assist, the students of the greater mystery. Return to the garden. I beg your pardon. You are pardoned. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness flame from Saint-Germain. Call it in, it's all a game. Enter the field, all is revealed. Just keep breathing inside and out. 9 dragons, black and white, the greatest of all mysteries. What was divided is now unified. We'll just keep speaking and praying of this vision that I've been given forever under Merlyn's behest. And no, I'm not alone. I'm in my home. I'm in Avalon again. This my tryst, I insist. Perhaps enlist. Thank you.